Welcome to Copilot Podcasts. You know that feeling when you're playing Jenga and you can sense that one wrong move will bring the whole tower down? Well, that's exactly where we are with our planet right now. Today, we're diving into climate change tipping points, those critical thresholds that could trigger catastrophic and irreversible changes to our world. By the end of this episode, you'll understand what these tipping points are, why they matter, and most importantly, what we can still do about them.
Yeah, and what makes this topic so crucial right now is that we're actually approaching some of these tipping points faster than we previously thought.
Let's start with the basics. What exactly are we looking at in terms of global emissions right now?
Well, according to the latest data from the International Energy Agency, global CO2 emissions grew by about 1% in 2024, which adds up to around 357 million tons of additional CO2.
That's a lot of carbon dioxide.
It is. And what's particularly concerning is that natural gas emissions rose by about 2.5%, making it the largest contributor to that growth.
I've heard people say that we're already past the point of no return. Is that actually true?
That's a common misconception. The reality is more nuanced. According to recent research, we're approaching critical thresholds, but we haven't passed them all yet.
Can you give us an example of one of these thresholds?
Sure. One of the most concerning is the Atlantic Meridional Overturning Circulation, or AMOC. It's basically like a giant ocean conveyor belt that helps regulate global climate.
And what's happening with it?
According to a new study from the Potsdam Institute, we might reach the tipping point that makes an AMOC shutdown inevitable within just a few decades.
Wait, shutdown? That sounds not good.
It's definitely concerning. If the AMOC collapses, it would lead to significantly colder winters in Western Europe and much drier summers globally.
You know, this reminds me of something fascinating. Back in the 1960s, scientists first started studying these kinds of climate tipping points because they were worried about nuclear war.
Right. A Soviet climatologist named Mikhail Budiko was actually investigating what would happen if nuclear weapons blocked out the sun. That's how we first started understanding these feedback loops.
Speaking of feedback loops, how do they work in our current climate system?
Think of it like a snowball rolling down a hill. As it gets bigger, it picks up speed, which makes it collect more snow, which makes it go even faster. Climate feedback loops work similarly.
And we're seeing these effects already, right?
Absolutely. In India, for example, they're experiencing this firsthand. The Nilambur forest has seen drastic shifts in seasonal patterns over the past decade.
What kind of changes are we talking about?
They're seeing delayed food production, disappearance of certain bird species, and increasing frequency of landslides. These changes are affecting both the ecosystem and local communities.
You know what's kind of interesting? Money doesn't feel real until it affects your daily life, right? Like that scene in Austin Powers where Dr. Evil demands $1 million as this huge ransom.
And now that barely buys you a decent house. Yeah, climate change is similar. It feels abstract until you see its direct impacts.
Let's talk about solutions. What are countries doing to address these risks?
Well, India provides a good example. They've developed a comprehensive 20-year national action program that focuses on community participation and local governance.
What does that actually look like on the ground?
They're implementing things like watershed management, agricultural diversification, and working with traditional tribal institutions to restore degraded landscapes.
And is it working?
It's showing promise. These approaches are helping increase water availability in dry seasons and improve soil productivity.
But is it enough? I mean, given the scale of the problem?
That's where it gets interesting. Research shows that people who engage with these complex climate issues actually develop higher levels of cognitive complexity and moral reasoning.
Wait, so understanding climate change actually makes us smarter?
In a way, yes. It helps us think more systematically and understand complex interconnections.
But here's something I've been wondering. Could our focus on tipping points actually be counterproductive?
That's a really important point. Some scientists argue that the tipping point narrative might lead to fatalism or extreme solutions that could be risky.
Like what?
Well, some suggest using geoengineering solutions like spraying aerosols into the stratosphere, which could have unpredictable consequences.
So what should we be focusing on instead?
The National Academies of Science recently emphasized that every reduction in emissions helps reduce risk, regardless of whether we've crossed certain thresholds.
That actually feels more empowering than the tipping point narrative.
Exactly. Every action matters. Every fraction of a degree matters.
Let's talk about what's happening with global temperatures right now.
According to the IPCC, we've already seen a rise of over 1.1 degrees C since pre-industrial times.
And what's the significance of that number?
Well, we're trying to keep warming below 1.5 degrees C to avoid the worst impacts. But it's important to understand that 1.5 degrees C isn't a magical tipping point, it's more of a risk threshold.
So every bit of warming matters?
Absolutely. Each increment of warming increases risks to human health, agriculture, and ecosystems.
What about the economic impacts?
They're significant. We're seeing impacts on everything from energy systems to infrastructure to agriculture.
And these impacts aren't evenly distributed, right?
No, they're not. Developing countries and vulnerable communities often face the worst impacts despite contributing least to the problem.
What gives you hope in all of this?
The rapid advancement in renewable energy technology and increasing global cooperation on climate action.
Can you give us some specific examples?
Well, in India, they're developing the Eastern Dedicated Freight Corridor, where one electric train can replace up to 120 trucks, significantly reducing emissions.
That's actually pretty impressive.
And it's just one example among many. We're seeing similar initiatives worldwide.
So what can individuals do?
Beyond personal carbon footprint reduction, one of the most important things is staying informed and engaged with climate policy at local and national levels.
And supporting climate-resilient infrastructure?
Exactly. Whether that's through voting, community involvement, or professional choices.
As we wrap up, what's your key takeaway message?
That while we're facing serious challenges, we're not helpless. Every action we take to reduce emissions helps avoid worse outcomes.
And time is really of the essence here, right?
Absolutely. The next few decades are crucial for determining which climate future we'll experience.
It's like that Jenga tower we mentioned at the start. We need to move carefully but decisively.
Right, but unlike Jenga, we actually have the power to stabilize the tower if we act now.
Well, that brings us to the end of today's episode of Copilot Podcasts. Remember, when it comes to climate change, we're not past the point of no return, but we need to act now to keep it that way. Thanks for listening.